Vero Beach, Florida boasts an exclusive waterfront neighborhood with expensive homes. But it's also known as an excellent place for fishing. And today, one of the homeowners has taken issue with a local man who is wade fishing in front of her house.
Should I call the cops too? Yeah. That's good. Now you're harassing me.
The neighbor is threatening to call the police, as she claims the man is trespassing on her property. So he starts recording.
You don't own the water. You own that. You own that.
What you think? I own from that telephone pole all the way there.
All this water is yours?
Yes.
Impossible.
I'm not gonna hurt.
While the neighbor may not wish to engage in a war of words, she's not backing down.
Exactly. Get mad. Get mad. I'm gonna make you famous.
And if he's going to make her famous, she's going to make him wet.
Look at you. You're bored. You must be a bored woman. But then be rich. Good. But you're miserable. Okay, you're rich, but you're miserable.
And now the neighbor goes from verbal taunts to physical threats.
If my son was here, he'd be out of here.
That's fine.
Can't wait till he gets here.
That's fine. That's fine. You'll go to jail. He'll go to jail. Now that's a threat, and I have it recorded. Thank you.
I don't have time.
Yeah. Go inside. Get something to eat. Get something to eat.
Fun in jail.
The fisherman leaves, but later he asks the local sheriff to check the property deeds. And the sheriff confirms that the neighbor only owns 5 feet of shoreline, so anyone is entitled to fish there without the threat of an unwanted shower. And the territorial neighbor is not off the hook. To her surprise, the next week, members of the local fishing community organize a fishing trip right in front of her house to prove that the Indian River is for everyone to use. In Oceanport, New Jersey, retiree and keen photographer Ruben Martinez loves to take his dogs Ruby and Oliver to the shore to capture the beautiful sunsets. However, today...
No, go ahead and say that again. Go ahead.
Here, take my
Go
picture.
back to and where I came from?
Yes,
really?
where you came from.
I'm an American.
When Ruben, who is Mexican-American, parks his car in a public spot at the end of this cul-de-sac, a woman and her neighbor start yelling at him. Fearing for his own safety, Ruben starts recording.
Here, take my
Go
picture.
back to and where I came from?
Yes,
really?
where you came from.
I'm an American.
Realizing he's being filmed, one neighbor decides to leave, but the woman is up close and agitated.
Wherever you came from, go back there. Long Branch.
That is so racist.
As the neighbor refuses to back down, the confrontation becomes even more tense.
Get out of here. Wherever you came from, go back there.
What a
From.
racist...
Go back there.
My home that I bought and paid taxes for
Yes?
is in West Long Branch.
Okay.
West Long Branch is the next town over, but this neighbor is riled up and just won't quit.
Your
You
finger
and your
out of my
bad
face.
dogs.
They're small
Okay?
little dogs,
I don't
okay?
care. They're disrupting the entire neighborhood.
I can't believe that somebody
Okay?
could
You're
be
aggravating. Your dogs are aggravating.
I'm aggravating?
And you're aggravating. So take your camera, take your selfie stick, take your dogs, and get the out of here.
What is your name?
My name is Rita.
Right, okay, so I have your permission to post this?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. That's really nice.
Absolutely.
After this video goes viral, Rita moves away, and Ruben relocates to Reno, Nevada, where he is welcomed by his neighbors, can photograph more beautiful sunsets, and walk his dogs in peace.
There was a big issue in my city going on where these bikes were getting stolen.
A concerned Good Samaritan, who we'll call Sam, wishes to remain anonymous for his safety. But he's watched many bikes being stolen from his neighborhood for years, and no one doing anything about it.
I was kind of just sick of seeing it happen. I was sick of seeing people get away with it. The police weren't really doing too much about it.
So Sam gets an idea, and with a sidekick, they set their wheels in motion.
Me and my neighbor thought that we would try to stop this theft by going out and looking for these bikes that had been stolen and trying to recover them ourselves.
Sam and the neighbor browse stolen bike postings online. Then the duo prowl the neighborhood, sometimes for hours, hoping to spot one. In one evening, while Sam is out patrolling alone, he does.
So when I saw these guys ride by, I had a huge adrenaline rush, of course.
The neighbor, Sam's sidekick, is at home.
If I confirm that's the bike, you gotta call the cops, all right? And I'm gonna tell you where I am.
But Sam is able to patch into him through his helmet phone and let him know this is not a drill.
It's the bike, it's the bike.
There were a ton of identifications on this bike telling me that it was the stolen bike. And I'm a little nervous because I'm not sure who is on these bikes. There's more than one of them. Maybe they have a weapon.
Where'd you get that bike? Cops are on the way, man. I know that bike's stolen. Just leave it there and go. It's your best bet.
Sam advises the rider to surrender the bike to him, but instead, they pull over. Sam gives his coordinates to the neighbor
Get the cops here right now. I'm at the taco truck by that Home Depot.
and tells him to have the police meet him there. But as they wait, the neighbor calls back with bad news.
Call right now. Get them here. All right? We're talking right now.
They're not coming.
What do you mean they're not coming? I got the bike.
This Good Samaritan is now the Lone Samaritan.
I didn't want to approach the situation alone. I just wanted to let the police know where these people were so they could apprehend them themselves.
One of the riders pulls out a phone and hands it to Sam.
The rider on the stolen bike ended up pulling out his phone and calling the person who had stolen the bike in the first place, the original thief.
Sam gets on with the thief who stole the bike.
I already talked to Levi, and I have to return the bike tomorrow.
Well, look, man, I got the bike right now, and I have the key. I can take it for Levi, man.
Levi is the bike's owner, and now that the thief knows he's been caught, he wants to return the bike back to Levi personally and apologize. Or so he claims.
But I'm taking this bike with me. The cops are on their way.
No, you can't return that bike.
But Sam insists on bringing the bike back himself and is not backing down.
I don't care, man. This bike's stolen. It's coming with me.
Sam believes if he lets them take the bike back, neither he or the owner will ever see it again.
We know your name. We know your address and everything, bro. I would take off if I were you.
I don't give no.
All right, man. Did you buy this bike or did he give it to you? Because you should get your money back if you bought it.
The thief may not care, but the two riders do. They talk to the thief on the phone and soon hand the keys over to Sam.
I don't want you guys to if you didn't steal it, I don't want you in trouble, all right? So you guys can go, because we already have the name of the guy.
The two people on the bikes decide to go their own way and leave the bike with me.
All right, you guys be safe, all right? I'm sorry you got mixed up in this, all right? If you didn't steal the bike, that's all right, but I'm taking it.
Thank you. We will take care of the guy.
Okay.
I ended up getting a $500 reward for getting the bike back. Later on, this footage was used in court and the thief was charged with many counts of vehicle theft.
But putting a neighborhood criminal behind bars comes with a price.
So I am a little worried of what may be done to me by the thief or his acquaintances if they find out my true identity.
This neighborhood Good Samaritan is happy to remain anonymous. And as long as Milwaukee thieves continue stealing bikes, the Good Samaritan and his sidekick neighbor will keep taking them back.
Hell yeah, man.
In the parking lot of a neighborhood grocery store in Hilo, one resident is not feeling the chilled vibe.
This girl here, her license plate is it's Passat, and she threatened to slap me, and he threatened to break my windshield.
According to the man recording, minutes earlier, the neighbor in red, who is on the phone to the police, lost her temper with him and his girlfriend for no reason as they tried to park. But she's accusing the man of targeting her because of the color of her skin.
All this racist stuff because I have blonde hair and blue eyes. Saying I'm looking at him. What are you looking at, bitch? What are you looking at, bitch?
It's unclear if the police are coming or not, but a parking attendant has arrived and is struggling to control the situation as the neighbor goes nuclear.
No, it's not enough!
Park your car.
No!
Like, what the hell?
And by now, the neighbors waiting in line are also starting to get heated.
Wait for me. No!
Even more outraged, the neighbor turns her vitriol towards the parking attendant.
Listen, you short piece of okay? Grow some
She called me a short piece of
balls, baby! Grow some balls! No! I'm not moving! You can talk all you want, all you Hawaiians. The white lady's crazy. You can talk all the that you want, you
Finally, the standoff ends. But when the video goes viral, the woman in red apologizes in an interview with the local news channel and promises in the future that she will show more respect and love to her neighbors, or as they say in Hawaii, aloha. Clanton is about an hour south of Birmingham in rural Alabama, and it's where Jason Abraham has lived his entire life.
Rural life is really unique. You may have to yell very loudly, or in some cases, you might actually have to drive for your neighbor to hear you. But all the neighbors here love to help each other out.
One day, as Jason is driving his work truck, he comes upon an unusual sighting.
I was driving about 4 to 4.5 miles from my house.
As Jason is driving through the neighborhood, he sees a small puppy run into the middle of the road, and there's no adult in sight.
I'm an animal lover. That's probably a big reason why I turned around to save the dog. But as I pull up, I see this child that approximately 13, 14 months old. And she was just hysterically crying. It was odd to see an unattended child that close to the roadside. As I walked towards her, the dog was going crazy. She held her arms up, and the dog pushed me towards her, and I put her in my arms. And it was at that moment that I realized I don't know what to do. I decided the proper thing to do would be to call the police, but I did not have my cell phone on me. And that meant a trip back to this company's van, this creepy van with out-of-state plates. And I just knew someone was going to see me carrying this crying baby back to my van and probably attack me or try to shoot me. I did make it back to the van safely and made the phone call. During the time of waiting for the police, I saw a neighbor 2 houses down. I asked if she knew who lived at this house.
The woman immediately recognizes the child and leads them to the correct house.
Someone came out. They were hysterical. Little girl stretched her arms out, and I let her take the child from me. She had 2 children that she was looking after that day. She had just put them down for a nap, and she had fallen asleep. Her oldest child opened the door to go next door to see a relative, and that allowed the youngest child to crawl out. And it also allowed their family pet to follow her out. It was just a freak accident.
With the child safe at home, Jason posts the dashcam video online, and after more than 50 million views, he still refuses to take credit for the rescue.
I absolutely don't think of myself as a hero. To me, the real hero is that little dog. Had that dog not behaved the way that that dog did, I would have never been there to help.
And even though nobody is hurt during this incident, Jason still sees a lesson that can be learned from his experience with a very neighborly dog that day.
It's gonna help remind parents and grandparents and babysitters to be a little extra diligent and lock that top lock on the door, because children can be escape artists.
If good fences make good neighbors, don't tell that to organic gardener Jeff Permar of Middleton, Delaware. He not only has a problem with his fence, but he also has one with his other neighbors. In his spare time, Jeff's an avid gardener who grows his own produce, but discovers that someone in his neighborhood is sneaking into his fenced-in garden and destroying his crops.
I was noticing that vegetables were being eaten and just dropped onto the ground, just like chunks out of the vegetables. It's really upset.
From experience, Jeff knows it's neither pests nor birds, and certainly not a neighborhood dog.
So I got to thinking, and I was like, well, why don't I set up a motion detection camera to see, what it could be? So I did that, and while I was at work, I had gotten a ping on the phone, and I was anxious. I went over to go look at it, and pops up this groundhog out of nowhere, and I'm like, what, a groundhog?
Jeff quickly takes action and draws up a battle plan to stop the groundhog's ground war. He ensures there are no openings in his fence and closes up any holes, no matter how small.
I was putting all obstacles in place, so they couldn't get into the garden. None of that stuff worked. So that kind of upset me a lot, and I was like, all right, maybe I could trap them. So I would set up like a trap out there, and nothing would work.
Slowly and surprisingly, Jeff develops an admiration for his enemy's bravery and fearless persistence.
As time went on, he really won my heart over. He's so cool, popping up in the camera, eating right in your face. He's got so much swagger to him. He's just looking in the camera, and he's like, yeah, I'm eating your vegetables. What are you going to do about it? I was getting notifications at work. I was showing people, sharing it on Facebook, Instagram. Everybody was loving it. They were like, this guy is so cool. You gotta, take care of him. And so I was like, you know what? I do.
Jeff's first move? Giving his always hungry neighbor a proper name.
He was taking chunks out of the vegetables and just moving on to the next one and taking another chunk. So I said, you know what? Your name's gonna be Chunk.
But soon Chunk becomes the Chunks, with the addition of Nibbles, his girlfriend.
Chunk loved Chunkland so much that he brought his girlfriend Nibbles over. As time went on, garden wasn't even mine anymore. I just gave it to the Chunks.
Already late in the planting season, Jeff lets the Chunks continue to eat from his garden.
The following year, I made them their own little garden where they could come have at it, feed yourself as much as you want. And it's a good thing I did.
During hibernation, the Chunks start a family. And thanks to Jeff, they don't have to worry about feeding the kids.
And I was also even giving them stuff from mine still.
Jeff and the Chunks now live happily side by side. If only all neighbors could be so friendly. A biker is working on his motorcycle in his North Carolina neighborhood when out of nowhere, the fuel line pops off, sending gasoline spraying everywhere. And it's barely a second before the fuel catches fire. The motorcyclist, who is also ablaze, runs into his garage looking to escape the flames. He comes back out with a fire extinguisher and tries to quell the growing inferno, but his extinguisher is too small for a fire this hot. If the flames reach his house, the gas is burning hot enough that the entire home can easily go up in a matter of minutes. And when one home is on fire, the entire neighborhood is at risk. The cyclist backs off, and with his fire extinguisher spent, all he can do is watch the fire dance dangerously close to his home. All seems lost, when suddenly, a hero appears from next door.
We're back, I got it.
A neighbor has run outside with an extinguisher of their own, and they run in a circular pattern around the bike to contain the flames. Another neighbor joins them as they do everything in their power to keep the fire away from the house. Less than 10 minutes after the fire starts, firefighters are on the scene, and with a couple of well-placed shots of the hose, the fire is extinguished. The motorcyclist is taken to the hospital with second and third degree burns, but fortunately escapes more serious injury. And even though the motorcycle is completely destroyed, there's no extensive damage to the home. All thanks to some helpful neighbors who are able to buy some precious seconds until the fire department shows up. We always hear about legitimately feuding neighbors here on Neighborhood Wars.
You're trespassing.
Property line.
But some wars between neighbors are actually all in good fun. Like this neighbor who is thinking out of the box by getting into the box as he waits for his neighbor to appear. Luckily, the shock factor doesn't seem to dampen their neighborly spirit. And then there's this neighbor who looks as if she's on her way to a costume party. She even has the Elvis moves. But in fact, her friends next door are away, and she's just feeding their dog. After that, this joker, or her husband, come dressed up in different costumes every day, knowing that their neighbors will enjoy seeing it on their doorbell camera. Until the final day, when the husband appears to tire of the gag and turns up in his regular clothes. But when he leaves, this new risque look proves that a neighbor can feed a dog and learn new tricks. While gender reveals can be lots of fun for family and friends, the neighbors likely couldn't care less if it's a boy or a girl. as long as it's not a mess. And the more elaborate gender reveals become, the more taxing they become on the neighborhood. And even if the neighbors are invited, they still end up getting the short end of the stick. In Philadelphia, this expectant couple is in the backyard surrounded by friends and neighbors. They light their gender-themed fireworks together, and everyone celebrates as pink clouds explode overhead. But in the excitement, no one notices what's happening. The fireworks are unwisely propped up on a drying rack, and when the first rocket launches, it jostles the whole box of fireworks loose. A few more rockets shoot up before the fireworks fall off the rack, and no one notices until it's too late. Rockets shoot into the crowd as family and neighbors scramble to find safety. But aside from a few minor burns, no one is seriously injured in the mayhem. So while some may love gender reveals, the neighbors might not be as tickled pink. Huffman is a rural community about an hour northeast of Houston, and it's where Sam Parks and his family have called home for more than 30 years.
My family was one of the first few families out on this road. Our neighbors are about as an equal mix of Americans as anybody could ever hope to get.
But it turns out trouble has been brewing next door for decades.
This feud has been going on with my neighbor now for 22 years.
Even though his original feud was with an older generation, Sam finds himself still clashing with their kids.
He's gonna lay my ass out, you hear that?
What started in the early 90s as an argument in the woods has now become near daily fights that are triggered by almost anything.
You was in your travel trailer.
What are you gonna do?
And I come outside.
Talking
you way over here.
Every time you come out to talk about me and trigger me?
That's the Dunning effect. That's when somebody's so stupid they don't know how dumb they are.
Some of their most frequent fights are started because of the neighbors' dogs.
When they got their puppies, I expressed to my neighbor's husband, there's a leash law in Texas. You have to contain your animal.
You better if you kept them dogs put up like the leash law requires you to.
He got mad and bucked up and said, well, look, if you've got a problem with it, you just call the dog pound. And so we did. And the dog pound came and gave them a warning. The next day, they took that warning, tore it up, and threw it in our yard.
After the animal control incident, the neighbors decided to step up their technology in this neighborhood war.
My daughter came and told me that my neighbor was installing cameras, and she knew from the location that it would be a problem.
And as you can tell, it's pointed directly into our yard. How up is that? So why are you pointing cameras directly in my yard?
Her placing that camera was just disgusting.
You have to invade my yard. No, I'm not invading. Yeah, what's your camera showing? Right?
It shows you acting like...
Right into my daughter's window.
With the neighbors pointing multiple cameras directly into his yard, Sam comes to the conclusion the cameras are only there to rile him up.
And so this is how you go with people.
The camera vantage point that she put up there was to instigate my anger. It was to draw my ire. I'm seeing war crimes, neighborhood war crimes.
With verbal threats and camera surveillance escalating, events come to a head at the fence line with his neighbor's uncle.
He was calling me out.
Come on, parasite! Talk some
When I walked over there, I knew where that incident could end up. That had already been calculated.
The neighbors yell back and forth at one another when suddenly the uncle has heard enough.
You want to come out in the yard?
I'm right here, bitch!
No, you want to come out of your yard?
For what? I can hear you. You're so stretched out. I can hear you. What do you need to say? Oh, real cool, bud.
Yeah, like kids do.
Come on, Brick. Well, that's what you can do.
Since the wire shelf showdown, Sam has continued to record his neighbor's antics for his own safety, but he sees no end in sight to this long-standing feud.
Do I see a way for peace? Peace would be a for sale sign. Peace would be an open house next door. I have an allergy to those people. There's no amount of Benadryl that will cure my allergy. Only solution is they move.
You got y'all on video. No, I ain't worried. You need to be. Can you shut up and let's end this?